Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. A lot of boxing this weekend, so I thought we could sit down, preview some of those fights, look at them, say who we think is going to win those fights. There has been some breaking news that we are going to talk about first, then get into the previews of this weekend's action. Like I said, there's multiple events. There's one that happened today even, Imam Gassiev. That's the only fight I actually watched of it. He beat Adam Danes, round 3 KO victory for him. But we have Pulev versus Gassiev. We have Diego Pacheco taking on Kevin Sadjo, and we also have Badu Jack taking on Noel Mikhailian in that rematch fight. So a lot of boxing to happen. We also got Tim Tszyu's fight next Wednesday. I'm not going to talk about that today. I'll probably talk about that early next week, but I did actually talk to Tim Tszyu. There's an interview out on the channel if you want to check that out after this video. But let's talk about the breaking news first. Nothing amazing, nothing wild that's happened today. Nick Ball's got his next fight coming up February 7th for the WBA featherweight title. He will be taking on Brendan Figueroa. I think that's a very tough fight. Brendan Figueroa has been in multiple title fights now. Nick Ball, I mean, he's very, very good. But if there's one thing that you can say about Nick Ball is there has been occasions where he's struggled against a taller, rangier opponent. And I think Brendan Figueroa will bring that. I mean, you look at the Sam Goodman fight, at parts in that he did struggle against the ranginess of Sam Goodman, especially when Sam Goodman stayed disciplined and stayed using that jab. Also, when you saw that draw against Ray Vargas, another tall, rangy fighter that Nick Ball did struggle with. So, two world title level fighters going at it in Liverpool, which gives Nick Ball a big advantage. I like to see that he's going to fight in front of his Scouse home crowd. I think it'll be an amazing atmosphere, but you probably back Nick Ball early doors, but I think if there's a stylistic matchup that is favorable for an opponent of Nick Ball's, Brendan Figueroa has it with that ranginess. Oshaki Foster has bailed on his 135-pound title. Yeah, I mean, there's two parts to this. Oshaki Foster fought excellently on the weekend. I mean, just perfect. It was a perfect performance against Stephen Fulton, and Stephen Fulton, a world champion himself. So, great performance by Oshaki Foster. He didn't want to be fighting at lightweight, right? That was not in his control. That was all up to Stephen Fulton and the fuckery that went on there. So for Oshaki Foster, you don't blame him to just say, keep that belt. He would have had to go up against Shakur Stevenson. I mean, yeah, there's better opponents to have to take on than Shakur Stevenson because you're likely to lose your titles. Let's get into this weekend's preview. That's about all the news. I mean, there's a little bit about Deontay Wilder. It's seeming like he's going to fight Alexander Usyk, which is unbelievable to say when you think about the trajectory of Wilder's career since the defeats to Tyson Fury and the defeat to Joseph Parker. I mean, the fact that we're even here saying that it could be Alexander Usyk versus Deontay Wilder for multiple belts is unbelievable. And Deontay Wilder really hasn't done anything recently to be worthy of that title shot, but Alexander Usyk, I think he gets the choice of who he wants to fight. I think he's earned that position. If the opponent he wishes is Deontay Wilder, then it's Deontay Wilder. What are you going to do about it? You can't really say anything about Usyk. The way he's held himself in cruiserweight, the way he's held himself at heavyweight, I mean, the guy's a legend. What are you going to do? He's done everything that he's been asked to do. If he wants a fight that he picks, I think we give it to him. For me, it wouldn't be Deontay Wilder. I mean, I think it's more to do with Deontay Wilder being American than anything else. If Deontay Wilder was British, I think he would have picked a different opponent. I think the fact that he is an American person and it's a whole new market than what Alexander Usyk has fought, because basically since he's been in heavyweight, I think he's only fought Brits, so at least in title fights. So yeah, I think he's looking at another market. But for me, do we see it going any other way than what Usyk basically did to Daniel Dubois? No, I don't think he does. I think he does exactly the same, if not worse, because you'd say Daniel Dubois going into that fight was looking a lot better than what we've seen of Deontay Wilder for the past 2-3 years now. So it is what it is. Diego Pacheco is taking on Kevin Sadjo this weekend. It's going to be for the WBC Silver Super Middleweight belt and the WBO International Super Middleweight belt, Stockton Arena in California. It's a good fight. It is. I think especially when you take into note the fact that both of them are undefeated. I think they've got a combined record of 50-0. The only question mark that I have is Kevin Sadjo. For me, his resume is very stat padded. It is very stat padded. 26 wins, 23 knockouts. he's a very powerful fighter. Don't get me wrong. I think he's one of the most powerful punchers at super middleweight. But like, if I just get up his resume, because to be honest, half the people that he's fought, I don't know who they are. All right, he's fought them in Africa. Never watched the fights. Don't know who they are. And if we just look at him, like his last opponent 14-9, the one before that 30-3, 30-10, 13-2, 33-10, 12-4, 19-1, 19-1. They're actually not that bad, although neither fighter have actually heard about. 11-18, 33-12. See, that guy there, he hadn't won a fight in his last five. And I know it's easy to just look on paper. Like, his last opponent was 0-2 going into that fight, 14-9. How are we going to rate your opponent when you're coming up against that? I mean, Diego Pacheco, I know his opponents haven't been of the highest caliber. Trevor McCumbee, Steven Nelson, although those two there have a lot of wins and not many losses at all. I'm thinking between them, they have 2 losses, 1 loss between those two. So, yeah, for me, Diego Pacheco should win this fight very easily. I say very easily because if Diego Pacheco is what we project him to be at his young age, he's been in the game now 7 years. You get rid of Kevin Sadjo. All right, you do it and you do it comfortably. The fight against Trevor McCumbee, although it was a very wide unanimous decision, I thought he was very tentative in that fight. I thought he fought it very, very scared of what was coming back. And although Trevor McCumbee didn't offer a lot, didn't land many punches in that fight, the fact that he was worried about what was coming back does make me question this performance and what we're going to see from him against Kevin Sadjo, because Kevin Sadjo is a bigger puncher than Trevor McCumbee. I think Kevin Sadjo is going to be on the front foot. I think he's going to be hunting for a kill a bit more than Trevor McCumbee was. And if Diego Pacheco tries to fight the way he does against Trevor McCumbee, I think he's going to put himself at risk of losing this fight, either by not doing enough and losing it on a decision, or falling asleep a little bit, not having enough offense to keep Kevin Sadjo off him and eventually eating one. Look, I don't think any of that will happen. I do believe Diego Pacheco will win this and win it comfortably, but I think we need to see a better performance from him than what we did against Trevor McCumbee. And it sounds weird saying that when you look at the scorecards and you say, well, he won by an absolute mile, but it wasn't an exhilarating fight. It didn't get everybody talking the way Hamza Shiraz did when he beat Edgar Berlanga. It didn't have everybody talking like the way people did about Lester Martinez and Christian and Billy in that draw. You're 24 years of age. You're undefeated professionally. You're vying for a title shot. You're ranked very, very highly in these governing agencies. But despite all that, lots of the time, it's a money game, and you've got to be saleable, you've got to be entertaining, you've got to be somebody that people want to see. And the performance against Trevor McCumbee sent him down the packing order because it wasn't a fight people wanted to see. All right, Hamza Shiraz, one fight at super middleweight, went to New York, beat Edgar Berlanga like it was nothing in his own backyard, bang, straight into a title shot. Christian and Billy, Lester Martinez, one of them's in a title shot, the other one's in line for it next. So when you're looking at that landscape of people, you've got to come in, you've got to start making waves, because an undefeated record's great, but if they're not against people of high notoriety, if they're not big wins, you're going to get slept on a little bit. So yeah, in terms of the fight, I do expect Diego Pacheco to win this fight, and I do expect it to be quite a comfortable night for him, but yeah, I do want to see just a better performance. I do, because I think he's got it in him. Sky Nicholson's taking on Julian Luna. Now, I did make a short on this the other day. You're welcome to check that out. We did cover most of it in that. There's not much to talk about. I mean, Sky Nicholson, former WBC featherweight champion. Julian Luna, 2-time world champion, I believe. 31 years of age, 28 wins, and 4 losses, 1 draw. For me, though, she's a woman that's very capable of beating a good opponent, but when you come up against a great opponent, when you come up against a world title level opponent like Sky Nicholson is, like Dina Thorslund was a few years ago, this is where she gets found out. This is where she loses. And for me, there is levels to this game, and Sky Nicholson for me is levels above what Julian Luna is. I think the experience is there for Julian Luna, but experience is good. But when somebody's just much better than you, you're going to get your ass handed to you. No offense to Julian Luna, I'm sure she'll come in and give a very good performance. I saw her interviews, I've seen her press conference talk, and she's there to win. She's not going to shy away from this contest. But unfortunately for me, Sky Nicholson will just be levels above her and beat her for me comfortably. I'm talking wide unanimous decision, if not a stoppage victory. It's a 10-round fight. Sky Nicholson's not a potent killer. She doesn't go in there. I know this year shows you different, but look at the level of the opponent. I'm talking Sky Nicholson. She does look good at this weight. I will say that. She does look much better at this weight. I was surprised when she's going down. I was like, I'm not sure how she makes it because she is quite a tall woman, broad shoulders. I was like, all right, well, let's see how it goes. Let's see if you're comfortable. But she's looked great since going there. And for me, I think she disposes of this fight. And it lines up an interesting thing because this fight's for the interim WBC Super Bantamweight title, and more importantly, the winner becomes mandatory to the WBC title holder, which currently sits with Ellie Scotney. She's fighting Maylee Flores next year. That was supposed to be on Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul card. Scotney gets injured, postponed to next year. Date to be confirmed. But Ellie Scotney's taking on Maylee Flores for undisputed. I predict Ellie Scotney to win that and win that well. I expect Sky Nicholson to this weekend to win this fight and win it well, setting up an Aussie versus a Brit for undisputed Super Bantamweight Championship, which I think is an unbelievable fight because Ellie Scotney, a star, Sky Nicholson, an absolute star, and two great records, two world champions, Aussie and a Brit. I mean, I think the fight is there, and I think it'll be an amazing fight, to be honest with you. What else we got going on this week? And that card does have a few other fights, which for some reason I have not written down here. Joe Cordina is fighting. He's taking on Gabriel Flores Jr., which I think is a very, very interesting fight. WBO International Lightweight belt up for grabs, 12-round contest. This is the co-main. On first glance, you go Joe Cordina. I mean, the only slight in his resume is that loss to Anthony Cacace, which it was a beatdown in the end, but since moving up to lightweight, has looked to, remember his best. He was a world champion at super featherweight, and he's coming up against Gabriel Flores, who's only had the 2 defeats in his career, and they were, I don't think he's lost for 7 or 8 fights now, Gabriel Flores, since he lost to Giovanni Cabrera. Before that, he lost to Luis Alberto Lopez. He was 2-3, I think, on his resume. Let me get that up. I'm pretty sure it was 2-3. Yeah, 2021 September to July of 2022, 3 fights, 2 losses. Since then, 6 odd fights, winning streak. Look, I would back Joe Cordina to win this fight. It will be difficult going into Gabriel Flores' backyard, but I think you just got to go in there and do it. I think he does go and do it and opens up some more doors for him because it's a good win. It's a very good win to have on your resume moving forward. All right, what else we got here? Badou Jack taking on Noel Mikhailian in a rematch, WBC Cruiserweight Championship up for grabs. That first fight, very, very close. And I think the tilting point in this fight is once again the age of Badou Jack. I think you look at Badou Jack, 42 years of age, at some point you just lose it. At some point it all becomes too much. At some point it's not there anymore. And I think lots of people are backing this in to be that fight. Very, very close first one. Badou Jack nudges it by majority decision. I actually thought he did win that fight. I thought there was no question. I thought he did enough over the course of that fight to just nudge out a victory. It wasn't a wide win, but it was enough to say Noel Mikhailian definitely, for me, didn't win that fight. Coming into the second one, I mean, we saw Aslan Lara fight on the weekend, 42 years of age. He dominated his opponent, but it was a very different fight to what this one's going to be. That fight against Johan Gonzalez was a 42-year-old that just outboxed somebody that came in on a week's notice. All right, this is 2 guys that have been in there. The fight was a tough, tough fight. That was a very tough first fight. How much that took out of Badou Jack is going to be seen on the weekend. And for most people, I think they're all saying it's going to take out too much. And Noel Mikhailian this time will overrun Badou Jack, and I tend to agree. I tend to think that Noel Mikhailian will learn from the first fight. I think 7 years difference between these guys. Noel Mikhailian's not exactly young, but 35 is much younger than 42, and I think that therein lies the key factor in this fight. because we saw on a skill level basis only that these two are razor close. These two are inseparable almost. All right, Badu Jack just nudging the first fight. You add a physical attribute to Noah Mikhailian, which is the age, which is hopefully the speed and the longevity that he's still got left in his career compared to Badu Jack, who's really at the end of his career. I think you got to go Noah Mikhailian to win this fight. I don't think it'll be an easy fight. To say Badu Jack comes out on top on the weekend, it wouldn't surprise anybody, but I think just looking at how the first fight went, how the second one might go, yeah, I'm thinking Noah Mikhailian wins this. And I saw an interview of him today speaking about Jake Paul. Did not like to see that interview. He said, "Yeah, look, if I have the belt, I'll be very open to fighting Jake Paul." Which, I mean, that all relies on what AJ does to Jake Paul. That fight does have a lot of weight on it. If Anthony Joshua sleeps Jake Paul, all that chat pretty much dies. You can't be given a world title shot to somebody who's just been beaten mercilessly by Anthony Joshua. But if he beats Anthony Joshua and says, "No, I want a title shot at cruiserweight. This is the WBC belt. This is the same WBC that originally put Jake Paul in the top 15. It's not out of the realms of possibility that Noah Mikhailian wins, and Jake Paul throws enough money at him to say, you and your WBC belt are coming to America and you're coming and fighting me for that world championship because I've just beaten Anthony Joshua and money talks in this game." So, yeah, I really hope that doesn't happen. I hope Noah Mikhailian wins it, and that fight next is Jai Aptai. We know how big a star Jai Aptai is in Australia. You know how big a fan I am with Jai Aptai. I want to see that unification fight. Unfortunately, that's not going to get mandated. The WBC probably will take a money fight over a Jai Aptai fight. So, yeah, lots of factors in play there. But in terms of the fight, I expect Noah Mikhailian to win it. Oh, this video is going a bit long. We're almost at 20 minutes here. This is going to end up as a podcast, but what can you do? Kubrat Pulev versus Murat Gassiev for the WBA regular heavyweight title, which is the strangest fucking title I've ever seen in my life. I don't understand how we have a regular and a super heavyweight title. Like, it's one belt. We got one fucking champion. What are we fucking doing here? Anyway, that is chat for another day. In terms of this fight, for me, this one comes down almost very similar to Badu Jack and Noah Mikhailian. I mean, Kubrat Pulev is 44 years of age now. He's 44. I don't see a world in which Murat Gassiev doesn't win this fight, doesn't win it by a stoppage. I'd be surprised if these guys went 12 rounds. The bombs that these two will be throwing, it's not going the distance. And for me, Murat Gassiev wins the firefight. Gassiev's never been stopped, all right? He's been in tough fights, but he's never been stopped. At the same time, his two losses have been two very fucking different losses. I mean, a loss to Usyk is a respectable loss, all right? You go the distance with Usyk, you lose. What can you do? He's one of the greatest ever. You lose to Otto and you're saying, well, what level am I? All right? You'd expect anybody that loses to Otto to get slumped by Usyk. He didn't get slumped by Usyk, but neither fighter, I mean, they're both very good fighters, but neither are great fighters. I mean, we're looking at best wins for Murat Gassiev being Mike Balogun and Unil Dorticus, and you're looking at the best wins for Kubrat Pulev, and you're probably looking at Hughie Fury or Derek Chisora in the first one. He loses to Derek Chisora in the second one, loses to Anthony Joshua. He gets slumped in 4 rounds or 5 rounds to Vladimir Klitschko. So, two very good heavyweights, but I don't think in any realm we're going to regard these two as great heavyweights. And for me, Murat Gassiev being 12 years the younger wins this fight, and you could almost base it off that alone. It's not the only factor. I think it will be a tough fight. Kubrat Pulev can be a hard man to stop, but it has been done. You're probably saying Pulev at 44 years of age needs to do something against Gassiev that nobody's able to do before. I think that is a very difficult thing to do because I don't see these two guys going 12 rounds. It is heavyweight boxing. You never know what's going to happen. You never know. Power is the last thing that leaves you, as they say. And at 44 years of age, he's going to be relying heavily on that power to get him out of this because, yeah, I just don't see Kubrat Pulev up until this point of his career. He's never been one of those heavyweights that has a tremendous knockout ratio. I think he's got a less than 50% knockout ratio, which for a heavyweight is surprising. it is surprising. For a heavyweight to have that sort of record, it's surprising. You compare that to Murat Gassiev, and he's looking at like 26 out of his 32 wins have been by stoppage. So for me, this fight doesn't go 12 rounds, and for me, Murat Gassiev wins the fight. And who knows what's going to be next after this fight? It could be Murat Gassiev versus Moses Atauma, which I think is a tremendous fight. I think that would be a great fight. I think it's another step up from Jermaine Franklin, from Dillian White. For me, Moses Atauma's opponents need to keep evolving. We don't need to chuck him in the deep end too early, but I think this is a very, very good fight for Moses Atauma to fight the winner of this fight. I think that is everything to talk about this weekend. Like I said, we will touch in on the Tim Tszyu fight next week. It's a good card. It's a very good card for a Wednesday night. It's a great card. Like I said, saw Tim Tszyu yesterday, so if you haven't checked out that interview already, definitely go and check it out. There's a press conference there, and there is my one-on-one interview with him. There's also an interview with Anthony Velasquez that I did a few days ago. That was more of a press conference thing, but check it out, see what you think. I don't tend to do many interviews on this channel because I like to keep it just me talking to the community, you guys talking to me, and I think that's better. If you want, there's plenty of outlets to see interviews for me and press conferences and stuff. It is nice to put on the channel, but you know, you go into a press conference, there's 15 people, everybody records the same thing, you get asked 2 or 3 questions, everybody sort of pumps out the same shit, you know. It is nice, but you know, I like to mix up the content. So let me know what you guys think. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'm out of here, guys. See ya.